Hello, children. This is Mr. Lane here. Going to walk you through the sixth and final cause of the first Great Depression. Hopefully, this information here will allow you to give you some good information and insight into to help you solve the second hypothetical Great Depression and present your findings to the president. Let's get started. Right? So, as we've talked in the five other videos, one of the causes here of the Great Depression is the idea of raising tariffs. So in order to understand raising tariffs, we need to understand what a tariff is. A tariff is, in short, a tax put on imported goods. It's meant to keep Americans employed with high wages, but it can often backfire. We all know what taxes are. Taxes like the income tax or like the sales tax. Um, we see that in our society, right? It's often a way for the government to make money. In this case, it's meant to keep Americans employed. The idea here is a tariff on imported goods, meaning goods coming into the country, keeping Americans employed. So we're focusing here in this case on buying American products, hiring American workers, and keeping their wages high rather than taking goods from outside the country. So any goods coming into the country will have a tax on them. That's what a tariff is, right? But as I said, it can often backfire. Let's see how that happens here. The government raises tariffs on imported goods. So the outgoing president in the early stages of the Great Depression was a man named Herbert Hoover. He signed laws to raise tariffs on imported goods. He received many warnings on this that maybe this would not be the best idea for him and for this country at the time. But he went ahead and did it anyways. One of the tariffs that he came up with was the Smoot-Hawley tariff, or the Hawley-Smoot tariff bill, which was an act signed into law in the early 1920 or late 1920s, which was an act to help farmers at the time. And it was an attempt to improve things after the Depression began, but it really made matters much worse. Let's take a look at how it could possibly make matters worse in the case of this first Great Depression. So we see that the government raises tariffs on imported goods. That means prices on imported goods are going to go up. That means the prices on imported goods are going to go up. So any goods where we're bringing goods into the country, other countries from around the countries are going to retaliate with tariffs of their own. Can you imagine? Again, you have a country that we normally do business with. All of a sudden, we stop and we say, Spain, we are no longer going to take your products. If we do, you are going to have to pay us money. You're going to pay us a fee for us bringing your products into our country. So they're going to retaliate and say, okay, well, if you're not going to take our products, we will put a tariff of our own on your stuff. So you can see how it's probably not great overall for relationships, international relations. And as I said, so it's going to lead to a couple things. It's going to lead to a couple factors. It's going to combine for a higher cost of living. It's going to lead for less demand for certain products. It's going to lead to more layoffs for companies, meaning they're going to fire more people. It'll lead to more bankruptcies. People or companies are no longer going to be able to stay in business. And it's going to deteriorate, meaning worsen international relations overall. But you can kind of see how that's going to happen. And ultimately, that's how raising tariffs is going to let us sink more into the Great Depression. And it wouldn't be until FDR comes along, which we'll talk about in the next few lessons. FDR is going to come along and attempt to solve his problems in a different way. Again, the idea of tariffs was seen as a failure in terms of helping us get out of the first Great Depression. And FDR comes along with a different solution, which you will learn about in the next few lessons. Hopefully, these six causes of the Great Depression's videos have been helpful. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask Mr. Smith. Mr. Blake, Dr. Blakeney, or myself, how we can be helpful to solving your second Great Depression. Thanks and have a great day.